Question 1. Claims investigation. In the process of investigating a claim, an adjuster discovers evidence that suggests a claimant may have exaggerated the extent of damages. The adjuster should A. Proceed with processing the claim to avoid potential litigation, B. Deny the claim immediately based on the suspicion of fraud, C. Report the potential fraud and gather additional evidence before proceeding, D. Request the claimant to provide a sworn statement and rely solely on that for settlement. Answer: C. Explanation. The correct action for the adjuster is to report potential fraud and gather additional evidence. Under New Mexico law and the guidelines for anti-fraud practices, adjusters have a duty to investigate claims thoroughly and report any suspicion of fraudulent activity. Proceeding with processing, option A, would ignore potential red flags and outright denial, option B, without sufficient evidence could lead to disputes or legal repercussions. Option D, relying solely on the claimant's sworn statement may not provide adequate substantiation, especially if fraud is suspected. Fraud investigations are essential to protect both the insurer and the legitimate claims process, and New Mexico's insurance code mandates thorough documentation and investigation of fraud indicators. Question 2. Policy provisions and conditions, scenario-based. Scenario: Alex, an adjuster in New Mexico, is working on a claim for a homeowner whose property sustained damage due to a recent storm. The policyholder's coverage includes a replacement cost value (SCV) provision, but only if the insured repairs or replaces the damaged property. Alex observes that the policyholder has opted not to repair the damages and is requesting an actual cash value (SCV) payout instead. How should Alex proceed? A. Issue an RCV payment since the damage falls under a covered peril. B. Pay the ACV amount as per policy terms, as the insured is not repairing the damage. C. Deny the claim entirely, as repairs are a condition for any payout. D. Inform the policyholder that they must repair the damage to receive any payment. Answer: B. Explanation. Since the insured is not undertaking repairs, Alex should proceed with an ACV payment as stipulated by the policy's terms regarding replacement cost coverage. The replacement cost provision typically requires that repairs or replacements be made to qualify for RCV, while ACV, actual cash value, compensates for the depreciated value without the condition of repair. New Mexico regulations align with these contract principles, where the adjuster is bound to adhere to the conditions outlined in the insurance contract, ensuring that ACV payments reflect the real economic loss if repairs are not conducted. Options and D incorrectly presume RCV eligibility, while option C is incorrect because the claim is valid under ACV terms. Question 3. Adjuster ethics and professional responsibility. An adjuster is handling a claim for a longtime client of the insurer. During the claim process, the client offers the adjuster a gift in appreciation of their helpfulness. According to New Mexico's ethical guidelines for adjusters, the adjuster should A. Accept the gift as long as it is a minor token and does not affect the claim. B. Politely decline the gift to avoid any appearance of bias or conflict of interest. C. Accept the gift and note it in the claim file to maintain transparency. D. Decline the gift only if it exceeds a specific monetary value as defined by state law. Answer: B. Explanation. New Mexico's ethical standards for adjusters emphasize the importance of impartiality and avoiding any conflicts of interest. Accepting gifts from claimants may create the appearance of bias, compromising the adjuster's professional integrity and impartiality. By declining the gift, option B, the adjuster upholds ethical guidelines and maintains a fair and objective stance. Accepting the gift, regardless of transparency, option C, or based on value limitations, option D, could still introduce perceived bias. Thus, maintaining a strict policy of declining gifts aligns with New Mexico's Code of Ethics for adjusters, fostering trust in the adjuster's neutrality and adherence to professional standards. Question 4. Insurance basics. Which of the following statements best describes the principle of insurable interest in insurance contracts? A. The insured must suffer a loss to make a claim, ensuring that claims are made in good faith. B. The insured must have a financial stake in the property or life being insured at the time of the insurance agreement. C. Insurable interest allows the insured to profit from the insurance contract in case of a loss. D. Insurable interest requires that the insured must hold the title of the property at the time of loss. Answer B. Explanation. Insurable interest is a fundamental principle in insurance that requires the insured to have a financial stake in the subject of the insurance policy at the time of purchase. This means that the policyholder must stand to lose financially if a covered event occurs, such as damage to property or loss of life. Option A is incorrect because while the insured must prove a loss to make a claim, this does not define insurable interest. Option C misinterprets the concept, as the principle does not permit profiting from a loss. It is designed to prevent moral hazard. Lastly, option D is misleading. While title can be a form of insurable interest, it is not a strict requirement for all types of insurable interest. New Mexico law supports these principles by ensuring that policies are only issued when insurable interest exists. Question 5. Claims process and adjusting practices. An adjuster is reviewing a claim involving property damage due to a fire. The insured has submitted an estimate for repairs. What should the adjuster do next to ensure the claim is handled properly? A. Approve the estimate immediately to expedite the payment process. B. Conduct an independent evaluation of the damages before approving the estimate. C. Request additional documentation from the insured to validate the estimate. D. Deny the claim since the insured provided the estimate without prior approval. Answer B. Explanation. The adjuster should conduct an independent evaluation of the damages before approving the estimate. Option B. This is crucial to ensure the accuracy and fairness of the claim process, adhering to best practices in claims adjusting. Proving the estimate immediately. Option A could lead to potential overpayment or fraud. Requesting additional documentation. Option C might be necessary, but it does not replace the need for an independent evaluation. Denying the claim outright. Option D, without assessing the damages, would be improper, especially if the claim is legitimate and valid under the policy terms. New Mexico's insurance regulations emphasize the importance of thorough investigations to uphold the integrity of the claims process. Question 6. Policy provisions, conditions, and exclusions. Scenario-based scenario. Sarah, an adjuster, is handling a homeowner's claim for water damage caused by a burst pipe. The homeowner has a standard homeowner's policy, but Sarah notes that the policy has a water damage exclusion. What should Sarah communicate to the policyholder regarding the claim? A. Since the policy has a water damage exclusion, the claim will be denied without further review. B. The claim will be paid in full since burst pipes are typically covered under homeowners' policies. C. The claim cannot be approved at this time, but the policyholder can provide additional evidence to reconsider. D. The policyholder should review the specific exclusion details, and Sarah will need to verify if any exceptions apply. Answer D. Explanation. In this scenario, Sarah should inform the policyholder to review the specific exclusion details. Option D, because exclusions can vary significantly among different policies. The adjuster must verify whether any exceptions or endorsements are applicable that might allow for coverage despite the general exclusion. Option is too dismissive. A thorough review of the policy's terms is necessary before concluding. Option B is incorrect, as water damage exclusions typically apply in standard homeowners policies. While option C suggests a reconsideration, it does not account for the necessity of understanding the policy's wording and context first. New Mexico insurance regulations require adjusters to fully disclose policy details and work collaboratively with policyholders to ensure transparency. Question 7. New Mexico insurance laws and regulations. Under New Mexico law, which of the following actions would most likely be considered an unfair claims settlement practice? A. A claims adjuster denying a claim based solely on the initial assessment without a thorough investigation. B. A claims adjuster offering a settlement that is below the policy limits. C. A claims adjuster accepting a gift from a claimant who has received a settlement. D. A claims adjuster delaying a claim payment due to missing documentation from the insured. Answer A. Explanation. Denial of a claim based solely on the initial assessment without a thorough investigation. Option A is considered an unfair claims settlement practice under New Mexico law. This practice can lead to unjust treatment of the insured and violate ethical guidelines requiring fair and complete investigations. Option B is not inherently unfair, as settlements can be negotiated even below policy limits depending on the circumstances. Accepting gifts. Option C can lead to ethical issues but is not classified as an unfair settlement practice unless it affects the claim's outcome. Delaying a claim payment due to missing documentation. Option D can be justified as long as the insurer communicates clearly with the insured about what is needed to proceed. The New Mexico Insurance Code outlines specific standards and practices to protect consumers from unfair treatment and ensure transparency in claims handling. Question 8. Advanced adjusting practices. During a catastrophic event, An adjuster is required to expedite the claims process. What is the most critical factor for the adjuster to ensure effective claims handling? A. Relying on automated systems for processing claims. B. Maintaining open lines of communication with policyholders and stakeholders. C. Focusing solely on high-value claims to manage workload effectively. D. Issuing provisional payments without verification to expedite claims resolution. Answer: B. Explanation. The most critical factor for effective claims handling during a catastrophic event is maintaining open lines of communication with policyholders and stakeholders. Option B. Clear communication helps manage expectations, provides necessary updates, and allows for addressing concerns promptly. Relying solely on automated systems. Option A. May overlook unique case details that require human judgment. Focusing solely on high-value claims. Option C. Could neglect numerous smaller claims, leading to dissatisfaction and potentially exacerbating the situation. Issuing provisional payments without verification. Option D. Is risky and may lead to overpayments or fraudulent claims, ultimately undermining the insurer's financial stability. New Mexico regulations emphasize the importance of transparency and communication in the claims process, especially during crises, to build trust and ensure effective resolution. Question 9. Liability insurance. When determining liability under commercial general liability (CGL) policy, which of the following scenarios would most likely lead to coverage under the occurrence form of the policy? A. A business's employee intentionally damages a customer's property. B. A customer slips and falls on a wet floor inside the business premises. C. A business is sued for false advertising that occurred over several years. D. A contractor's employee causes damage while performing routine maintenance. Answer: B. Explanation. A slip and fall incident. Option B typically qualifies as an occurrence under commercial general liability policy as it involves an unforeseen accident that results in bodily injury on the business premises. Option A, where the employee intentionally damages property, would not be covered under CGL policy since intentional acts are generally excluded. Option C may involve claims related to advertising injury, but it would not fall under the occurrence definition. Option D could be covered, but liability might also be more accurately classified under professional liability or other specialized policy rather than a standard CGL. Understanding the nuances of liability coverage is critical for adjusters, and New Mexico law outlines these distinctions clearly, ensuring that claims are handled appropriately based on the specifics of each situation. Question 10. Ethical standards in adjusting. Which of the following actions by an adjuster would be considered a violation of ethical standards according to New Mexico's guidelines? A. Offering claimants advice on how to fill out claim forms accurately. B. Misrepresenting policy coverage to minimize payouts to claimants. C. Referring claimants to repair shops that provide quality service. D. Documenting all communications and decisions related to the claim thoroughly. Answer: B. Explanation. Misrepresenting policy coverage to minimize payouts. Option B is a clear violation of ethical standards and is illegal under New Mexico law. Adjusters must provide accurate information about coverage and claims processes to maintain integrity and trust. Offering advice on filling out claim forms. Option A is generally acceptable, provided the adjuster does not cross the line into unauthorized legal advice. Referring claimants to reputable repair shops. Option C is often a service to the policyholder and enhances the claim process. Documenting communications and decisions thoroughly. Option D is not only ethical but also essential for compliance and accountability. Upholding ethical standards ensures that the claims process is fair and equitable, protecting both the insurer and the insured. Question 11. Property insurance valuation. In New Mexico, if a homeowner suffers a total loss due to a fire, which of the following valuation methods is most likely used to determine the payout under a standard homeowner's policy? A. Actual cash value, SCV. B. Replacement cost value, RCV. C. Market value. D. Salvage value. Answer: B. Explanation. Under a standard homeowner's policy, the payout for a total loss is typically determined by the replacement cost value (RCV), which covers the cost to replace the damaged property without deducting for depreciation. Actual cash value (SCV) option A is used in some policies, but RCV is more common for full replacement in homeowners insurance. Market value option C reflects the property's value in the market, which may not cover the full cost to rebuild. Salvage value option D refers to the amount recoverable from damaged property after loss, which is not applicable in this scenario. Question 12. Uninsured motorist coverage. Under New Mexico law, which of the following statements regarding uninsured motorist coverage is accurate? A. UM coverage is optional and not required by state law. B. UM coverage must be offered in every auto insurance policy. C. UM coverage only applies if the other driver is found at fault. D. UM coverage can only be purchased for liability limits. Answer B. Explanation. In New Mexico, uninsured motorist coverage must be offered in every auto insurance policy issued. While insured individuals can choose to reject it, insurers are required to provide it as an option. Option B. Option is incorrect because it is mandatory to offer, though it is not required to be purchased. Option C is misleading, as UM coverage applies regardless of fault when the other driver is uninsured. Option D is incorrect because UM coverage can be purchased in varying limits, not just liability limits. Question 13. Duty to defend in liability policies. In New Mexico, which of the following is true regarding an insurer's duty to defend an insured against claims made in a liability policy? A. The insurer only has a duty to defend if it believes the insured is not liable. B. The insurer has an absolute duty to defend any claim as long as it falls within the policy's coverage. C. The insurer can refuse to defend if it finds any exclusion applicable to the claim. D. The duty to defend is based on whether the insured has a strong case against the claimant. Answer B. Explanation. In New Mexico, an insurer has an absolute duty to defend any claim that falls within the policy's coverage. Option B. This duty is broader than the duty to indemnify, meaning that even if the claim may ultimately not be covered, the insurer must provide a defense if there is a potential for coverage. Option A is incorrect. The insurer must defend even if liability is uncertain. Option C is misleading, as exclusions cannot be used to refuse defense once a claim is made. Option D is incorrect. The strength of the case does not affect the duty to defend. Question 14. Medical payments coverage. Which of the following is true about medical payments coverage under a homeowner's policy in New Mexico? A. It covers injuries to residents of the insured's household. B. It requires proof of negligence for coverage to apply. C. It provides coverage for guests injured on the insured's property. D. It has a cap on the total number of claims that can be made. Answer C. Explanation. Medical payments coverage under a homeowner's policy in New Mexico provides coverage for guests who are injured on the insured's property. Option C. Regardless of negligence. Option A is incorrect because it typically does not cover injuries to household members. Option B is misleading, as this coverage does not require proof of negligence. Option D is incorrect. While there may be a limit on the amount of coverage available per claim, there is not a cap on the number of claims that can be made as long as they fall within the coverage limits. Question 15. Cancellation of insurance policies. In New Mexico, how much notice must an insurer provide to a policyholder when cancelling a personal auto policy? A. 10 days. B. 15 days. C. 30 days. D. 60 days. Answer C. Explanation. In New Mexico, an insurer must provide at least 30 days notice to a policyholder when cancelling a personal auto policy. Option C. This regulation helps ensure that policyholders have adequate time to secure new coverage. Options A and B are incorrect because the required notice is longer. Option D is also incorrect, as 60 days is not necessary for cancellation of personal auto policies. Question 16. Flood insurance. Which of the following statements is true regarding flood insurance in New Mexico? A. Flood insurance is automatically included in standard homeowners policies. B. Flood insurance must be purchased through the National Flood Insurance Program and NFIP. C. Homeowners can only obtain flood insurance during a flood event. D. Flood insurance is optional and not necessary if the homeowner has a mortgage. Answer B. Explanation. In New Mexico, flood insurance must typically be purchased through the National Flood Insurance Program and NFIP. Option B. It is not automatically included in standard homeowners policies. Option A, which usually exclude flood coverage. Option C is incorrect because homeowners can purchase flood insurance year-round, not just during a flood. Option D is misleading, as flood insurance is often required by mortgage lenders for properties located in flood zones, making it essential for many homeowners. Question 17. Workers' compensation coverage. In New Mexico, which of the following statements about workers' compensation insurance is true? A. Employers can opt out of providing workers' compensation coverage for their employees. B. Workers' compensation insurance covers only physical injuries sustained on the job. C. Employers are required to provide workers' compensation coverage for most employees. D. Workers' compensation benefits are paid only after a lawsuit is filed. Answer C. Explanation. In New Mexico, most employers are required to provide workers' compensation coverage for their employees. Option C. Its insurance provides benefits for work-related injuries and illnesses, ensuring that employees receive necessary medical care and compensation for lost wages. Option is incorrect. While some exceptions exist, most employers must carry coverage. Option B is misleading, as workers' compensation also covers occupational diseases. Option D is incorrect because benefits are paid without the need for lawsuits, streamlining the process for injured workers. Question 18. Homeowners policy exclusions. Which of the following risks is most likely excluded from coverage under a standard homeowners insurance policy in New Mexico? A. Damage caused by fire. B. Damage resulting from earthquakes. C. Theft of personal property. D. Vandalism. Answer: B. Explanation. Damage resulting from earthquakes is typically excluded from coverage under a standard homeowners insurance policy in New Mexico. Option B. Homeowners may need to purchase separate earthquake insurance to cover such risks. Fire damage, Option A. Theft, Option C, and vandalism, Option D, are generally covered, although specific limitations may apply based on the policy terms. Question 19. Insurance fraud penalties. What is the potential consequence for an individual found guilty of committing insurance fraud in New Mexico? A. A warning from the insurance department. B. A civil penalty of up to $5,000. C. Criminal prosecution, which may include fines and imprisonment. D. Immediate cancellation of all insurance policies. Answer: C. Explanation. Individuals found guilty of committing insurance fraud in New Mexico may face criminal prosecution, which could result in fines and imprisonment. Option C. This reflects the seriousness of insurance fraud as a crime. Option A is incorrect because a warning is insufficient for such offenses. Option B may apply to civil penalties, but does not capture the full extent of potential criminal consequences. Option D is misleading. While an individual may face insurance policy consequences, it is not an automatic response to fraud findings. Question 20. Adjuster licensing requirements. What is one of the requirements for obtaining an insurance adjuster's license in New Mexico? A. The applicant must have at least a bachelor's degree in insurance. B. The applicant must pass a state examination specific to adjusters. C. The applicant must have at least 2 years of experience in insurance sales. D. The applicant must submit a letter of recommendation from an insurance company. Answer: B. Explanation. In New Mexico, one of the requirements for obtaining an insurance adjuster's license is passing a state examination specific to adjusters. Option B. There is no educational requirement like a bachelor's degree. Option A. Nor is there a mandatory experience requirement in insurance sales. Option C. While letters of recommendation can be beneficial, they are not a formal requirement for licensure. Option D. Understanding licensing requirements is crucial for compliance in the insurance industry. Question 21. Personal liability coverage. Which of the following scenarios would be covered under the personal liability section of a homeowner's insurance policy in New Mexico? A. A guest slips and falls on the insured's icy driveway. B. The insured's dog bites a neighbor. C. The insured accidentally damages a rented property. D. Both A and B. Answer: D. Explanation. Both scenarios A and B would be covered under the personal liability section of a homeowner's insurance policy in New Mexico. Personal liability coverage protects the insured against claims arising from bodily injury or property damage to others. A guest slipping and falling on the icy driveway, Option A, and a dog bite incident, Option B, are both liabilities that the homeowner may be held responsible for. Option C is generally covered under personal liability as well, but is specific to rental agreements. Therefore, Option D is correct as it encompasses both A and B. Question 22. Exclusions for flood coverage. In New Mexico, what type of property is typically excluded from flood insurance coverage under the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP)? A. Personal property such as furniture and clothing. B. Buildings with basements. C. Land, including lawns and trees. D. Cars and vehicles. Answer: C. Explanation. Under the NFIP, land, including lawns and trees, is typically excluded from flood insurance coverage. Option C. Flood insurance covers structures and personal property but does not extend to the land itself. Personal property, Option A, and buildings with basements, Option B, are generally covered, while cars and vehicles, Option D, are not covered by flood insurance but may be protected under comprehensive auto insurance policies. Question 23. Insurance policy renewals. When renewing a personal auto insurance policy in New Mexico, how much notice must an insurer provide to a policyholder regarding any premium increase? A. 10 days. B. 15 days. C. 30 days. D. 45 days. Answer. C. Explanation. In New Mexico, insurers must provide at least 30 days notice to policyholders regarding any premium increase when renewing a personal auto insurance policy. Option C. This requirement helps ensure that consumers are aware of potential increases and can make informed decisions about their insurance coverage. Options A, B, and D are incorrect as they do not meet the minimum notice requirement. Question 24. Liability limits. In New Mexico, which of the following statements is true regarding the liability limits for auto insurance policies? A. The minimum required liability limits are set by state law. B. Insurers are not allowed to offer higher limits than the state minimum. C. All drivers must carry liability insurance to register their vehicles. D. Liability limits can vary significantly between policies depending on the insurer. Answer A. Explanation. In New Mexico, the minimum required liability limits for auto insurance policies are indeed set by state law. Option A. This ensures that all drivers maintain a basic level of financial responsibility in the event of an accident. Option B is incorrect because insurers can offer higher limits. Option C is misleading, and while drivers are required to have liability insurance, not all must carry it to register vehicles, as certain exemptions may apply. Option D is true but not as specific as the requirements set by state law, making the best answer. Question 25. Coverage for home-based businesses. Under a standard homeowners insurance policy in New Mexico, which of the following is true regarding coverage for a home-based business? A. Business activities are fully covered without restrictions. B. Business property is excluded from coverage. C. Homeowners can add an endorsement for limited business coverage. D. All home-based businesses must carry separate commercial insurance. Answer. C. Explanation. Under standard homeowners insurance policy in New Mexico, homeowners can add an endorsement for limited business coverage. Option C. This endorsement allows for some coverage of business activities and property, though there may be limits. Option is incorrect because business activities often have restrictions. Option B is partially correct, as some business property may be excluded without an endorsement. Option D is not accurate. While some home-based businesses may require separate commercial insurance, it is not a universal requirement. Question 26. Policyholder rights. In New Mexico, what is one right that policyholders have regarding their insurance policies? A. The right to cancel their policy at any time without penalty. B. The right to receive a copy of their policy upon request. C. The right to demand a lower premium at renewal. D. The right to sue the insurer for any claim denial. Answer. B. Explanation. In New Mexico, policyholders have the right to receive a copy of their insurance policy upon request. Option B. This right ensures that consumers understand their coverage and obligations. Option is incorrect. While policyholders can cancel, there may be penalties depending on the timing and terms of cancellation. Option C is misleading. While they can negotiate, there is no legal right to demand a low premium. Option D is inaccurate, as suing the insurer is a complex process and may depend on specific circumstances rather than being an automatic right. Question 27. Additional living expenses coverage. In New Mexico, if a homeowner's residence becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss, which of the following would typically be covered under the additional living expenses provision? A. Mortgage payments while the home is uninhabitable. B. Expenses incurred for temporary housing. C. Costs of home repairs that exceed the policy limit. D. Costs for food and meals beyond the normal expenses. Answer. B. Explanation. Under the additional living expenses provision in a homeowner's policy in New Mexico, expenses incurred for temporary housing are typically covered. Option B. This coverage is designed to help policyholders maintain a similar standard of living while their home is being repaired. Option is incorrect, as mortgage payments are generally not covered under ALE. Option C is misleading, as ALE is for living expenses, not home repairs. Option D may be partially covered, but typically only for expenses above normal costs incurred due to the situation, making B the best answer. Question 20. Replacement cost coverage. Which of the following best describes replacement cost coverage in New Mexico homeowners insurance? A. Coverage that pays the actual cash value of damaged property. B. Coverage that pays the cost to repair or replace the damaged property without depreciation. C. Coverage that is only available for certain high-value items. D. Coverage that applies only to the structure of the home, not personal property. Answer B. Explanation. Replacement cost coverage in New Mexico homeowners insurance pays the cost to repair or replace damaged property without deducting for depreciation. Option B. This means that policyholders receive the full cost to replace their property up to the policy limits. Option is incorrect because actual cash value includes depreciation. Option C is misleading. Replacement cost coverage is not limited to high-value items but applies to covered property as specified in the policy. Option D is also incorrect as it applies to both the structure of the home and personal property if included in the coverage. Question 29. Homeowners insurance policy structure. What is a standard homeowners insurance policy known as in New Mexico? A. HO1, B. HO2, C. HO3, D. HO4. Answer C. Explanation. The standard homeowners insurance policy in New Mexico is known as HO3. Option C. This form provides broad coverage for the dwelling and personal property against numerous perils. Option HO1 is a basic form with limited coverage. Option B, HO2, provides more coverage than HO1, but less than HO3. Option D, HO4, refers to renter's insurance, which covers personal property but not the dwelling itself. Question 30. Fair claims practices. In New Mexico, which of the following practices would be considered a violation of fair claims practices by an insurer? A. Promptly investigating a claim after it is reported. B. Delaying the processing of a claim without reasonable justification. C. Providing a clear explanation of the claims process to the policyholder. D. Requesting additional documentation to substantiate a claim. Answer B. Explanation. Delaying the processing of a claim without reasonable justification is considered a violation of fair claims practices by an insurer in New Mexico. Option B. Insurers are expected to handle claims in a timely manner. Options A and C reflect proper practices as prompt investigation and clear communication are essential. Option D is also acceptable as requesting documentation can be a part of the claims process to ensure accuracy and legitimacy.